Build a business, not just a following. Are you trying to chase followers? Only to realize that followers don't equal money. I got myself into this situation a while back when I thought that growing a following is equals to making money. And I got a very rude awakening because I came to realize that just because you have a post that gets engagement doesn't mean that you're going to generate revenue. So today, this is what I'm going to talk about: followers versus leads. What works? When you post and you're just focused on followers and how many people you get, you tend to start posting certain pieces of content in a normal day you shouldn't be posting. So it's called honey posts. The post only has an objective in order to get more people to engage with you. Now, if you do not have a clear path of how you can turn this into business, you realize that you get a ton of people engaging, but it doesn't really convert to business. So let me give you a short story. I started to post on Instagram. I started to see some traction on there, but I found it very difficult to post on TikTok because I didn't know what kind of content to post on TikTok. I started to create videos on TikTok, just posting consistently, and most of these posts was stuff that actually performed on Instagram. I woke up one morning to about 1.5 million views on one of my TikTok, and my thing grew all the way. I think it went from about maybe 5,000 people to like 15 to 20,000. But one of the things I didn't realize is that the fact that people are coming on your page and they're engaging on your page does not convert to business. When you have a broad range, let's say motivational content or inspirational content, it's broad, it speaks to almost everybody. But when you start creating content for a specific avatar, meaning a specific person they are trying to solve a problem for, like let's say I create a piece of content and I'm talking about a startup entrepreneur and the biggest mistakes they're making and how they can prevent those mistakes, it starts to get to a specific kind of person. But I've come to learn that when you are optimizing for business, you should take the views and throw it out of the window. It doesn't mean that views are not great. It doesn't mean that if you don't get engagements, it's not good. We post and most people are looking at followers, they are looking at likes rather than them focusing on lead generation and sales. How many leads, how many people actually filled my form? How many sales did I generate from that? So let me give you an example. If you notice in recent times, I've been talking a lot about free sample of 100K secrets, the 5-step blueprints to creating a 6-figure online business. The purpose is I want to be able to start having more meaningful conversations with the people that come to my page. You know, anytime you post a piece of content, it's a piece of a larger story. So when people see it, they might resonate with that piece of content, but they are missing the other pieces. However, if you have something called lead magnets that you can actually collect people's emails and have more deep and meaningful conversations with them and know what specifically they are coming from. Most of the people that come to my lead generation for my book and the rest, they are business owners, they are startups that are looking to be able to scale to 6, 7, even 8 figures. So most of that content is geared towards people who are looking for that specific solution. However, when you compare it to something like an inspirational quote, so like at the beginning of the month, you post something inspirational and people engage on it, it's broad, but it does not solve a specific problem for most of the part. What specific problem are we solving? And if we're not solving a problem, it's very difficult for somebody to go from, they don't know you, all of a sudden to say, hey, I want to buy from you. In order for somebody to go from a stranger to go to know, like, trust, you need to be able to nurture that person, meaning that you should give them so much good content on a specific topic that they start to see you as the person who can solve the problem they have around that specific topic. Rather than optimizing for views, I know people who have 3 million followers, maybe even close to 4 million followers, and they're not making any sales because their only goal or only focus is just views. They're not looking at the other stuff like, okay, how do we take this view and turn it into a business? Engagement does not equal sales. When you have engagement on your post, it's nice to have. It just shows that people are interacting with it. But if you don't have a strategic call to action to say, take this next step if you want to have this outcome, people do not convert to sales. When it comes to digital marketing and online marketing, you have to understand that just because you have a lot of followers and you have a lot of engagement doesn't mean that you convert to sales. This year, I decided to take on YouTube. I realized that engagement on YouTube is not as easy to get people to engage on YouTube like you get people to engage on TikTok, Instagram. But look at the powerful thing about YouTube. If somebody sits and spends a good 10, 15, 20, let's say even 30 minutes with you, they are more likely to build the no-like trust factor with you than somebody who sees a 7-second video. It actually can encourage people to take more action when you're doing live settings or you're doing long form formats like YouTube than you doing the 7 seconds, 8 seconds on TikTok and Instagram. The fact that you just get engagement somewhere does not equal to business. So my recommendation is this: if you're a business owner and you're looking to be able to grow your business, do not focus on engagement and do not focus on followers and likes, because followers and likes don't pay the bills. What makes all the difference is you being able to optimize to a call to action for a specific problem that you can solve and turn that call to action into impact and profits. So the first case scenario, a ton of people can have a lot of views, but from the views that they don't get any conversion, they don't get any business from it because they're just optimized to get engagement. However, when you're optimizing your content in order to get business, understand that most of the time you're going to flop. It's not going to get good engagement, but it's going to be speaking to a specific person who has a specific problem, who would be able to relate to your piece of content, who might potentially become a client or customer in the future. Here's the lesson from today. Popularity fades, profits compounds. My name is Kimbuari. If you enjoyed this video, click here to watch my next video.